Between the years of 1943 and 1945, Nazi doctors conducted experiments on twin children in an attempt to unlock the secrets of heredity. Twins Eva Moses Kor and Miriam Moses Zeiger initially survived the tragic experiment conducted by Dr. Joseph Mengele, also known as the Angel of Death. Despite the hell she was put through, Eva Kor triumphed through survival and her forgiveness of Mengele and other Nazi doctors. This act of undeserved kindness shows the power of forgiveness because despite what happened to Kor and her sister, she was able to overcome Dr. Mengele and the Nazi doctors in the torturous experiments. Today, Eva dedicates herself to sharing her experience with the power of forgiveness and giving speeches at different locations around the globe.
On January 31st, 1934, Eva Moses, now Eva Kor, was born in the tiny village of Ports in Transylvania with her twin sister Miriam. Their family was isolated because they were the only Jews in their entire village. Rumors would soon spread about the torturing of villages and the killing of Jews in camps by Hungarian and Romanian military forces. These rumors worried nearly everyone in Eva's family, especially her father, who became very concerned and wanted the family to flee to Palestine, where he heard it was much safer. On the other hand, her mother, who did not believe the rumors because of her experience with the kindness of Hungarians, disagreed, and this agreement kept them from leaving. Later, Eva's mother would tragically express great regret over her fatal skepticism of the potential cruelty by her fellow man by shaking her head over and over again.
"It's all my fault. We should have gone to Palestine,"
which Eva repeated in her book, Surviving the Angel of Death. Soon, the Moses family discovered that their worst nightmares were true when a report was sent over the radio about Hitler calling for the eradication of Jews everywhere.
In March of 1944, Eva, Miriam, their mother, father, and two older sisters, Edith and Alice, were forced out of their home by Hungarian policemen and taken to the Sehi ghetto. Time passed, and on the last week of May they were pushed onto a cattle car where they traveled for 4 days with no food or water. When Mr. Moses asked for something to drink, the Nazis made them trade 4 gold watches, and once they did, they just threw the water at them. By that point, the water had become undrinkable. Throughout this terrible situation, they had no idea where they were going. When Eva's family arrived at the Auschwitz selection platform, Eva was separated from all of her family, except for Miriam, not knowing that that would be the last time they would see their mother, father, or their sisters.
Eva and Miriam were put into a group containing 13 sets of twins and a mother. They were also given special treatment, meaning they were able to keep some of their hair and obtain their own clothes. Because they were Mengele's twins, at the camp, every twin was tattooed with a number. Eva was A7063, Miriam A7064. In the barracks, it was filthy and stunk. There, Eva made a silent pledge to make it out of the camp alive with her sister.
While living in Auschwitz, Eva and Miriam did not only starve for food, but also for human kindness. 6 days a week, the doctors conducted experiments on the twins, including constant injections and measurements of the twins' bodies. Once, after a set of injections, Eva had a high fever and was told that she had only 2 weeks to live. She was moved to a hospital barrack that separated the dying people from the others. There, she made a silent pledge that she would survive, prove Mengele wrong, and get back to Miriam. During the fever weeks, Eva heard that there was water at the end of the barrack. She crawled on the floor, fading in and out of consciousness on her way to the water. Soon the fever broke, and then the Moses twins were reunited in the twin barrack. Eva had triumphed against Dr. Mengele's diagnosis, but when asked about what happened to her while Eva was gone, Miriam would not say. She continued to not say anything until 1985, when Miriam was diagnosed with kidney disease.
Eva thought that the whole world was a concentration camp until she saw a plane flying low bearing the American flag. This gave her hope that someone was trying to free them. November 1944, there was a bombing in the camp. The experiments stopped. In early January, they were told by the Nazi soldier that they were being moved to Germany. But on the day when the barracks were checked, for some inexplicable reason, Eva and Miriam's barrack was skipped. So the twins in the barrack and some others stayed in Auschwitz. Later, Eva's knowledge of the world beyond was widened when she spotted a schoolgirl fit with clean clothes, braided hair, and a backpack as she went to get water. On January 27, 1945, an army of Allied soldiers came to free them. They were bearing gifts of chocolate, cookies, and hugs. The people in the camp were taken out of the world beyond.
We were taken from Auschwitz to Katowice, which is a city about an hour from Auschwitz, and put in an orphanage. The orphanage had bedrooms with 2 beds, lots of toys, and white sheets on the bed. First of all, I was insulted that these grown-ups didn't know that I was no longer a child. I was not playing with toys. When you try to survive, you lose the innocence that a child has and the ability to play with toys. So the grown-ups didn't understand. Second, I was still infested with lice. I was dirty. How could I sleep on a clean bed with a clean white sheet? Instead of all that, I would have preferred a warm bath and a hug.
Eva Kor, now age 85, has forgiven the perpetrators of the Holocaust, not for them, but for herself, saying,
"Getting even has never healed a single person. Forgiveness is not so much for the perpetrator, but for the victim."
Eva Kor's life sadly contained many examples of tragedy. The first tragedy to come upon Eva's life was when her family failed to flee to Palestine, leaving them unprotected from the persecution of Jews directed by the Nazis. Furthermore, their failed attempt to flee to Palestine left them in an even more problematic situation, because this would contribute to the crisis of them entering the Sehi ghetto. The second tragedy to come into Eva's life was when her family, except Miriam and herself, were murdered in the Auschwitz death camp. This leads to the third tragedy that occurred, which was being experimented on. On the Auschwitz selection platform, twins were separated from their families, often never to see them again, like Eva and Miriam, to be experimented on by the Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele.
The best way to explain to somebody what Auschwitz was, if any of you ever are in any accident, a car accident, or any other kind of accident, you usually say, "Wow, how did that happen?" Because nobody's ever prepared for it. Now, if you realize that every hour on your life in Auschwitz, there was like a life accident, like a car accident, you didn't know what to do and what will happen next. So you're always watching. What I saw when I was in Auschwitz, that if I relaxed for 1 minute, I would die.
The first triumph of Eva's story is surviving the deadly fever she contracted from one of Dr. Mengele's injections. Through her survival, she was able to be reunited with Miriam and prove Dr. Mengele's diagnosis wrong, which was that she would have died in 2 weeks. A second dramatic and unexpected triumph for Eva was that the first pledge she made to herself, that she and Miriam would survive the death camp, was complete the day she and other survivors were liberated by the Soviet military.
"We are free!"
exclaimed the newly liberated survivors. Several years later, after Miriam passed away, Eva set out on a journey to connect with people who had impacted her during her time in Auschwitz. During this odyssey, she met, befriended, and forgave the former Nazi Dr. Hans Munch. This relationship enabled her to realize that she had the power to forgive even the angel of death. And this realization is the final and greatest triumph in the life of Eva Kor.
My greatest triumph that I freed myself from the burden of being a victim, and I was able to forgive the Nazis and also teach other people who have been victimized that they have a choice. It's the choice people make. We can live with pain and burden, and we can live free of it. And that is definitely the biggest triumph.